Now we'll talk about language and identity, especially in relation to language learning and English language teaching. There is no doubt that, and a lot of debate has been generated in this regard, that language learning is closely associated with the socio-cultural and academic identity of the students, especially when a language reaches to other borders. It has some questions related to the identity of the learners, which needs to be answered during the classroom and during the other process of learning which are occurring outside the classroom. And in this regard, the status of a language, especially a foreign language, when a language, as I said already, is as powerful as English language, is to be understood. What is the status of English in a certain society, for example, in Pakistani society? So, its status would determine its value in the learning process and its impact on the learners themselves. So, learning a second language, foreign language, is not a dry academic discipline, is area of investigation. Rather, it has serious socio-cultural impacts on the learners. In order to know the relationship between language and identity in detail, we need to know what identity is. In this regard, I'll just quote a very popular researcher, Norton, who has been very vital in research or investigation related to language identity, its learning and motivation. And she argues that identity is how people understand their relationship to the world, how the relationship is constructed across time and space, in various situations, in various circumstances, as well as in various time periods. So people might have various identities in various time periods or in various contexts, and how people understand their possibilities for the future. This definition also leads us to think that identity may not be a fixed notion, that what we are now may be fixed with us throughout our life. People might change their identity. They travel to different places. Sometimes they permanently relocated to different places, and they adopt a new identity there. They learn new languages, and those languages do have influences on their personalities, and their personalities seek a new identity. So changing in location, position, or learning new languages might have a deep influence on people's identity. Therefore, these influences must be studied in English language classrooms. West also explains Norton's concept, and he says that identity is related to the desire to be recognized and affiliated, and the desire for the safety and security. So how one likes to be recognized by others, and what kind of affiliations or associations he has developed in the society are the tokens of his identity. They lead us peep into one's identity. We by birth assume certain identities. We are born in certain families, and those families are identities. Then we grab certain identities by our interaction with others. We live and move in a certain community. That community becomes our identity. We learn a certain discipline in our academic world, especially when we reach higher education. We specialize in certain subjects, and those subjects and areas of research become our identity. So it keeps on adding and keeps on changing even with the passage of time. So, and it is also dependent on our desire. How would we like to be recognized by others? And all these desires and identity markers are expressed by the language. What we know and how we want others to know about ourselves, what others should know about ourselves, that is all expressed in the language. So language and the expression of identity are closely interrelated. In this regard, a famous French scholar has also expressed his thoughts, and he postulated that we cannot deny the relationship between identity and symbolic power which a language carries. And such symbolic power is closely associated with a powerful language like English. So, we cannot deny a close tie between language and identity, and this should be understood properly in a language classroom. Recently, the debate about language and the identity of learners has also triggered another debate about the ownership of English language, as it has reached to various parts of the world, and various local influences has been added to this language. So, to whom this language belongs to? Those who speak it by birth, or those who are learning it or using it after acquiring it or after learning it as a second or foreign language? It should be remembered that the number of those speakers of English who have learned it as a second or foreign language has increased than the number of those who speak it as a native language. So, the question of the ownership of English is a very debatable topic these days.